The Point of View is brought to you by Cowbell Coffee. Cowbell Coffee. Taste it, love it. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Kel Charcoal. Happy smile.
Hi, you're welcome to The Point of View. The Point of View is a favorite current affairs program on television. On The Point of View, we select the right topic, we get a relevant guest, and we ask relevant questions as well, and we leave you with insights, some useful insights at the end of the day. You can join a discussion via WhatsApp or even Facebook, because we are live on Facebook. On WhatsApp, you can join a discussion via our line 055-058-532, and we will read your comments out to the rest of the world. Today on the program, we are having a conversation around the happenings in Parliament, the fact that some 80 or so MPs want the finance minister sacked or relieved of his position. The finance minister and then his minister of state at the finance ministry, Charles Edubuahin. The MPs say that they are making the work difficult for them, and so the two of them should leave. They say that they have been forced to defend matters of conflict of interest, lack of confidence in the economy, etc. And they think it's about time the two people left so that they bring in fresh legs to do the job. Mind you, the finance minister and his team are locked up in a negotiation with the IMF regarding the bailout Ghana is seeking. The president has asked them to allow the finance minister, some 3 weeks to seal the deal with the IMF. But what will be the response of those MPs? We'll find out with time. So once again, welcome to the program. My name is Selom Adunu. I'll return, introduce my guests, and then we'll set the discussion rolling. Don't go away.
Citi TV is live. On DSTV, go to channel 363. On GoTV, access Citi TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV on your television. Citi TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and Star Times box. Citi TV. It's your world.
You're welcome back to The Point of View. Tonight we're looking at the Ofori-Atta and the backbenchers rebellion. The about 80 or so MPP members of Parliament who decided to call for the dismissal of Ofori-Atta are mainly backbenchers. And of course, we understand there are a few ministers in there, but some of them don't want to be named yet for obvious reasons. Tonight, Dr. Ofori-Atta, who is MP for Ofori-Atta Asokore, is our guest. He was one of those MPs. He did not read a statement, but he was standing right behind or beside the Honorable Andy Appiah-Kubi, who read that statement to the media yesterday. We'll also be joined by Dr. Abdul Jalid Ateku, who is a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, and Samir Yafe, who is Citi News' presidential affairs correspondent. My colleague here at Citi FM and Citi TV. He will also join us in the studio. But before that, we want to contextualize the discussion. What really is the matter? What are the timelines? What has been happening? So Parliament went on recess sometime in August 2022, resumed just yesterday, the 25th of October 2022, and then boom, before Parliament will even officially convene and resit, some majority MPs held a press conference where they called for the dismissal, or they called for the head of Ofori-Atta and Charles Edubuahin. They stated a number of reasons, critical amongst them being that they have had to defend matters of conflict of interest. And by conflict of interest, you may as well know that recently there's been discussions about the borrowing, the Euro bond matters, and the role that Ken Ofori-Atta's data bank and then Charles Oduboahen's Black Stars investment also have had to play in that. Some minority MPs later in the day also, filed their vote of censure in the minister, and that really makes matters very murky for the finance minister. But this is very important because of the numbers we have in this parliament. What kind of parliament do we have now? In fact, the parliament we have now, by all intents and purposes, is a hung parliament. And a number of things have happened so far in this parliament because of the issue of numbers. It's a hung parliament. The numbers are very close, 137, 137, and then one independent. Of course, now it's 136, 137, and 1. And even the 137 for the MPP, the Honorable Adwoa Safo is not around. At least she was not in Parliament today. And for the NDC, instead of 137, they have 136 now because the Honorable Dechi Kwesin, the Member of Parliament for Asin North, has been barred from holding himself out as Member of Parliament because of that Supreme Court decision. So technically, it's 136, 136, and then 1. So the numbers are very close, and that makes matters very, very serious. So this hung parliament has also led to a number of things. You remember the famous or infamous matter of the role of the deputy speakers when it comes to voting in the House, whilst they also preside. So now this hung parliament spawned the Justice Abdullahi case where the Supreme Court ruled that the deputy speakers of parliament are first members of parliament, and so they have a vote whether they preside or not. That is an interesting decision that generated a lot of discussion. Of course, this parliament, given the numbers, also led to what we saw today in parliament, given the ruling of Mr. Speaker on Adwoa Safo. It's a game of numbers, so one will be important. So if you recall, the majority side tried to get one of its own out because they activated or triggered the constitutional provision which said that if you're a member of parliament, you absent yourself for 15 days, you count yourself out. That ruling was given by the speaker today. And indeed, this was one of the major anticipations of the resumption of parliament before this matter of Ken Ofori-Atta's dismissal also came up. Also, this parliament has also seen the passage of the e-levy. And we saw how difficult that process was, all because of the numbers we have in this particular parliament. So it's a very interesting parliament. So to have your members of parliament as government or governing party, threatening that if you do not sack or cause to resign a particular minister, a key minister, a cabinet minister like the finance minister, if you don't do that, they will not partake in government business. It's really cause for, it's a worrying matter. So the 80 members of parliament said that if the president does not sack the minister or cause him to resign, they will not partake in parliamentary business. Now let's look at the numbers on the MPP side in parliament. We have 137 members of parliament on the MPP side. About 80 of them, at least from what we saw and heard yesterday, want Ken Ofori-Atta out. About 57 of them, given the arithmetic, did not support it because they were not part of the MP, so at least openly. Out of the 137 numbers, the total number of ministers and deputies of this government is 86. Out of that, we have 23 who are MP ministers. The Constitution wants majority of ministers to come from Parliament. Now, about 35 of them are MP deputy ministers, which makes it very difficult for government because these people have to discharge their ministerial duties whilst they must also be present in the House to ensure that government business passes. Now, total number of MP ministers and deputies will be 58, and that is a very, very important one. Now, let's look at the rebels or the non-conformist MPs who are calling for the dismissal of Ken Ofori-Atta. 80 of them, 20 of them at least are not named for obvious reasons, because we understand some of them are ministers and deputies, and of course, they cannot be seen calling for the head of one of their own. And so we have 60 of them who are open-faced. They've shown their faces. They do not care what the consequences are. They say that the finance minister is not leading them to a good place. So that is quite very, very, very interesting. So that is where we are now, given the situations. So right after that, we had the minority also reactivating something they've been trying to do before Parliament went on recess. They were trying to gather signatures for to pass a vote of censure on Ken Ofori-Atta because they feel, or they say, he's been very incompetent. They listed about 6 or 7 reasons for this particular move, including the fact that he does not, he churns out, doubtful figures or data to Parliament regarding Ghana's economic state. He's leading Ghana into a ditch and all of that. That's from the minority side. So total number of MPs, 1,275. But the Constitution, by Article 82, which we will look at briefly, says that 2/3 of members of Parliament voting in favor of a vote of censure, will be enough to make them carry the day. But 2/3 of the total number of MPs we have in Parliament will be 183. However, NDC should be 137, but now 136 because of the Supreme Court J.C. Kwesing case I mentioned earlier. Now we have a deficit of 47 MPs. So where would the NDC get those 47 MPs from? That is a very important question. And I'm sure that was one of the reasons why they shelved this the last time before recess. Now, given what is happening on the NPP front, they have triggered, or they have reintroduced this vote of censure and now filed it. And from what we heard today in Parliament, it's on the Speaker's desk, and so it is properly before Parliament. Now, let's look at the NPP non-conformist numbers again. Now, NDC has a deficit of 47 to make the 183 2/3 number. So we have 60 open-faced. So we just need 60 or 47 out of these 60 open-faced people to vote with the NDC, and then, Ken Ofori-Atta will be a goner, as we say. But the interesting thing about this is that, one, they are open-faced. They don't care whether you see them or not. Indeed, they address the press, and there were a number of them around them, so around the man who spoke, who said he was a spokesperson of the group. So that's very interesting. And also, a vote of this nature will be secret ballot. So which means that we could even have more than the 60 people or the 80 people who we hear are part of this non-conformist MPs voting to get Ken Ofori-Atta out. But the interesting thing is that some of the MPs have said that the way the NDC's approach is not their approach. But let's look at that critically. The NDC wants Ken Ofori-Atta out. What the MPP MPs are doing essentially wants the finance minister out. The result is the same. Now let's look at the consequences. NDC wants the man out. NDC has not threatened that they will not partake in government business if Ken Ofori-Atta is not removed. But the MPP MPs have threatened that if the president does not cause him to resign or sack him, they will not take part in government business. And that's critical, given the numbers. Now, the major thing that awaits Parliament is the budget statement, which will be read in the next few weeks. And now there's an IMF discussion as well. And I'm sure Parliament will have to, at some point, make some pronouncements or debate or have a say in all these IMF matters. And they are threatening that they will not take part in government business should the president not heed their call. Now, the NDC, they have filed their vote of censure. What really is that? The details of that is in Article 82 of the 1992 Constitution. What does Article 82 say? Article 82 says that Parliament may, by a resolution supported by the vote of not less than 2/3 of all members of Parliament, pass a vote of no censure on a minister of state. A resolution supported by votes of not less than 2/3 majority. Now, almost all NDC MPs have signed this, which means they are in support of it. There's a deficit of 47, what we just discussed. Now, it continues to say that the motion for the resolution referred to in clause 1, which you just saw above, of this article shall not be moved in Parliament unless 1, 7 days notice has been given of the motion. So that is just procedural. So they filed it yesterday. We are counting 7 days. It goes ahead to say that the notice for the motion, that is, unless the notice for the motion has been signed by not less than 1/3 of all members of Parliament. And that 1/3 number, I'm sure, will just be around 83 or something. But the NDC has more than that number. They have 136 or 137. So we've crossed that. 82.3. The motion shall be debated in Parliament within 14 days after the receipt by the Speaker of the notice for the motion. So within 14 days after the Speaker receives that motion or the notice of the motion, debate on the matter should start, which means that between now and the next 14 days, we will see Parliament begin to debate Ken Ofori-Atta's motion or the motion from the minority in respect of the status of Ken Ofori-Atta. 82.4 says that a Minister of State in respect of whom a vote of censure is debated under clause 3 of this article is entitled during the debate to be heard in his defense. So what this essentially means is that when this motion is moved and debate starts, Ken Ofori-Atta, even though he's quite beleaguered now, may go to Parliament and say that he wants to be heard. He wants to defend himself. He wants to defend why, a lot of the matters they have listed, happened. They may hear him, he may convince them, and if the matters are put to a vote, they may fall short of the number, and Ken Ofori-Atta will remain a minister. If he fails to do so, he may attend or not. If he fails to convince them, or if they are resolute to get him out, obviously they will vote, and his vote, that vote will result in a decision the president has to make. Now let's look at the next one. 82.5. Where a vote of censure is passed against a minister, under this article, the president may, and that's very key, the president may, unless the minister resigns his office, revoke his appointment as a minister. Now, this is a constitutional provision. This is a may. The may means that it is quite discretionary in the general sense. It is not mandatory. However, this may should actually be a shall. Why do I say so? Of course, the Supreme Court interprets the Constitution. That is the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. But we've had a number of cases where we have seen the Supreme Court interpret may to mean shall. And a number of English law cases, Ghana is a common law jurisdiction, a lot of English law cases have also interpreted may to mean shall, given certain contexts. So, for example, in Ghana, in the Occupy Ghana versus AG case, when you look at Article 187, which became the matter of the Occupy Ghana versus AG matter, 87.7b, the Constitution says that in the performance of his function as the AG under this Constitution or any other law, the Auditor General may disallow any item of expenditure which is contrary to law and surcharge. A number of things come after that. But this may in this Constitution, 187.7b, was interpreted by the Supreme Court to mean shall, which means that the Auditor General is under obligation, or he has to ensure that this disallowance and surcharge is done. And we've seen, or we saw Domolevu do a few of that. Indeed, the Occupy Ghana is either in court or threatening to go to court to force the court to compel the Auditor General to disallow and surcharge some people. It is a mandatory provision, even though it has been presented here as shall, as may. What am I saying? The may in this 82 vote of censure matter most likely could be interpreted by the Supreme Court as a shall. And I'm sure that when we get there, somebody may most likely go to the Supreme Court to seek interpretation on that. So that we can leave for later. So generally, that is where we are regarding the matters of yesterday and today. Indeed, today, the Speaker of Parliament ruled that Adwoa Safo should not leave yet. The decision of the Privileges Committee or the Committee of Privileges should be subjected to debate of the plenary. After that, the plenary will take a decision by way of voting on Adwoa Safo. It gives Adwoa Safo some time and some space to reorganize herself and see if she can convince her colleagues to vote in her favor or not to vote for the motion, depending on how the question is put. So basically, this is where we are, and this has been the goings on in Parliament in the last few days. We'll take a quick break. When we return, I'll have my colleague Samuel Yafe join me, and we'll speak to some other persons to bring the discussion home. Don't go away. Yeah, welcome back to the point of view. We are looking at Ofori-Atta and the backbenchers, what we call the backbenchers rebellion in Parliament. They want him sacked, or they want the president to make him resign. The president said they should give him 3 weeks to seal the IMF deal before he leaves. Whether the rebels in that case, or the non-conformist MPs, will heed that call is another matter. Now, let's speak to Dr. Abdul Jalid Ateku, who is a political scientist or political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, on what his thoughts on this matter will be. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to the program. We are in, uncharted waters. We've not seen this before. We've not seen members of parliament gather to call for the head of a minister in their own party or government. How significant is this particular move by the MPs?
Good evening, Salam. Good evening to your viewers. Yes, you are right. In this fourth republic, we have not experienced this. I think previous parliaments, previous governments, like 1979, I think Liman's government faced similar problem with that, with the budget, right, which was subsequently thrown away and all that. So for this parliament, I think that is part of the new thing that we are experiencing. You rightly put it that this is a hung parliament, right, and looking at the issues. And for the first time, we have the majority members of parliament asking their own government to take certain decisions. I think that, in my view, it is commendable. It is commendable because looking at the situation from even when the e-levy was introduced, you look at the situation at the time, clearly there was no broader consultation with the various stakeholders, and that contributed largely to what we saw in the early part of the year. Even around that time, some people argued or made call on the finance minister to resign and all that. I think subsequently we moved on, and when the economic situation began to deteriorate, there were calls from various quarters that the finance minister should resign, and that did not also materialize. Then subsequently, there was also the calls, particularly, I think at a certain point in time, the president himself came, even when they admitted that people were actually experiencing excruciating hardships and all that. And there was even the need for the president to reshuffle, at least to reshuffle that one to, I think, the president turned a blind eye to it. The same finance minister initially said that they were not going to the IMF, and there were some other government officials and all that. And subsequently, later on, there was a U-turn that they will go to the IMF. There were calls from many quarters that, looking at their initial position and the U-turn that they have made, I think it was important that they step aside so that a new team will be formed to lead the IMF negotiations, so that they will have some kind of credibility and confidence to do that. and that was also not adhered to. So subsequently, if you look at the situation, so I think, in my view, what the majority, the backbenchers are doing, or as you put it, the rebels or the non-conformists, I will say that they are actually trying to, I think their action should be, is commendable, because they are trying to help their own party, right? Because if you are in the vehicle, the driver is speeding or driving recklessly, and you sit down unconcerned. If there is a crash, it means that you are also going to be involved. So I think what the members of parliament from the majority side, the 80 of them, are doing is that they want to, they do not want the ship to wreck, and therefore they have to raise this issue. So in my view, I think that it is a good thing. It is a new thing that we are experiencing in this parliament, and I think that it is a good thing. There are a lot of lessons to learn by successive government, right? So that it shouldn't be everything from the ruling party. Then all the members of parliament will have to always vote and that kind of thing. So I think that it is expanding the frontiers of our democracy.
All right. So in that sense, deepening parliamentary independence, and many have said in the past that our parliaments have often been rubber stamp parliaments. And I hope, or I think, that a lot of what is happening can be attributed to the nature of parliament we have now, given the numbers and everything. But can leaving, what does it change? It is a collective task or decision to go a certain direction. He goes to cabinet meeting, he presents his ideas and policies, they adopt it, and it becomes government policy. So can alone leaving, what does it change? Can leaving may not turn the situation around right now. It is a collective government decision and ideas or programs that will change the fortunes of our country, where we want it to go. So can leaving, it's just one man or maybe two people and his Minister of State. What difference will it make? What will it change?
Yeah, I think, yes, certainly, to be a finance minister, you have a responsibility, right? You lead in developing the financial policies, economic policies of the country and all that. So I do not think that we just reduce it to say that he's only one person. In fact, he's a huge personality, right? When we talk about finance minister of the Republic, he occupies an important, enviable position, and a lot is required of him, right? So the point is that he will have to lead. The president has assigned him because he believed in his capacity, his knowledge, his experience to be able to deliver the mandate of the president. And if you look at over the years, right, looking at the challenges that we are facing and all that, look at the exchange rate, look at the inflation, the indicators, right? So it means that certainly there are problems. So normally, when you have, you meet certain, you get to a certain point where things are becoming difficult, the honorable thing to do is to step aside. At least that will give the new person that is coming will also come with another vision, right? If you just look at what happened in the United Kingdom recently, right? Kwesi Kwarteng was appointed within a short period of time. Because of particular decisions, he stepped aside. So the new person that is coming will also have to reflect, look at what went wrong, right? And then the next path that they will need to chart in order to make progress. So Ken stepping aside, I think that it will improve. It may not turn everything around, but at least it will give some confidence even in Ghanaians that the president actually he acknowledged that the hardships that Ghanaians are going through, and therefore these are some of the measures. But if people are suffering, people are complaining of hardships, and yet you say that no, the very people who are supposed to help you to manage this country effectively in terms of the finances and then the economics, and if people are facing this situation and you say that, oh, they are the best, so far they are the best, so it means that there is a problem. So I think that the president will have to listen to the people, even the finance minister himself. When the 80 members of parliament made their statement yesterday, I was expecting that the finance minister will resign or the president will ask him to step aside I'm surprised that he's still at post, and the president is being asking that they should allow him because he's already leading the negotiation. These issues were brought forth from the beginning, that they do not have that confidence and credibility to lead the country, right? So I do not think that it is that late. There are so many people within the party, there are so many people in this republic who can, move from this point to lead Ghana into whatever.
I think that the issue.
So I think
the issue really is.
There may not be any significant change in the short term, but I think that it is a step, and this step is very, very important, very crucial at this point in time.
I think the issue really is about the timing, because it appears we are racing against time. There's a budget in November. November is next week, and we must reach a deal at least with the IMF or be in a good place before we present the budget. Ofori-Atta and his Minister of State, Charles Edubwahi, the two guys on the chopping board, appear to be the guys leading the conversation or the negotiations with the IMF. The president's fear or worry is that if these two should go, it leaves a vacuum. The one who comes in will have to study the situation and then steady the ship before things can be moving. Time is of the essence. Even 1 week could cause us a lot of damage. That is the president's concern. In any case, it is his legacy that is at stake, is it not?
I do not think that it is. I do not think so, because at the ministry there are specialists, right? There are specialists who are supporting the finance minister and others. Apart from that, at the various ministries, there are other people who will have to bring their own, the sectoral budgets and all that. So there are people who are supporting the finance minister. So if the finance minister goes, the new person will come, and then there are other people who will be able to support him. I do not think that 3 weeks or 1 month is something that a new person cannot. If once the person has expertise in the area, I do not think that the person. People have been sleeping. Or these people actually know what is happening in the country. So I do not think that it is. For me, I do not. I do not think that it is a good point to make, because there are people in the various ministries who have participated or who are helping in this budget and all that. So if a new person or new people are brought onto the decision, I do not think that they will still make a point. At least it is important that some credibility, confidence in the people is very important. Okay, so if these people are going to negotiate, these are people. It's a kind of a vote of no confidence by their own ruling party, and the same people who are going to continue to lead the country, the negotiation and all that. I think that it will rather serve the country well if we have new people, right, so that they will go in with confidence, credibility, and to engage the external partners, the IMF and all that. In terms of the domestic, the budget, like I have already said, there are people who are working, who have been supporting the finance minister and then others. So if new people are brought in to take charge, I think that it will rather help rather than harm the government.
All right, so hold it there. I'll come back to you. Let me come in studio and speak to my colleague Sami Wiafi, who reports from the presidency, our presidential affairs correspondent. Sami, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
You were at the presidency or the Jubilee House yesterday. The news broke quite early in the morning, and you were at the presidency the whole time. How was the president? What was his mood? What did he think about what was his mood or his thinking about all of this? Did you see him yesterday? Did he make any comments in respect of this? What did he say?
Well, I saw him yesterday. Yesterday was a packed day at the Jubilee House because the president has begun a series of engagement with major stakeholders as far as reviving the Ghanaian economy is concerned. So yesterday and today were very busy days for the president in the Jubilee House. So my understanding is that when this particular press conference was held by this majority MPs, the president was already in a meeting with a number of ministers, including Ofori-Atta, in this particular meeting when this press conference was held. So they saw it on TV, they watched it and saw it in the media. So it came to them as a shock. They didn't expect that the first sitting of Parliament, they are going to be thrown with such a bombshell, which is asking the finance minister to leave. So they saw it right on television because they were in a meeting before this particular press conference.
But is that not a problem? I mean, the president, with all the security information available to him and all of that, a major thing like this happening from his own fold, he only gets to see it on TV. And the MPs said that they have used other means to achieve the result. And indeed, being members of the party, the ruling party, I'm not sure they will just get up and do that. They might have tried using other means to get the same result. Coming out was like the very last, their last resort, I think. The presidency, national security, nobody picked this up and they saw it on TV for the first time.
A few of the members of parliament I spoke to who were involved in this said they kept it as a secret and they didn't want anybody to know. Already, there was a series of engagement with the party leadership and the parliamentary leadership on the side of the majority over this same issue that they raised at the press conference yesterday. So what happened yesterday was really something nobody knew about it. It was only among those who wanted to raise this particular issue and some few members of parliament in leadership position, because obviously if you want to do such a thing, you can't go without informing your leaders about it. So the leadership of the majority side were very much aware of this, but kept it as a secret among themselves. So they wanted to surprise everybody, including the presidency.
So the leadership of the majority knew about this.
They knew about it.
And they did not find it necessary to inform the president.
Well, who knows? They are also in support of this particular move. I'm not sure the members of parliament who undertook these particular activities do not have the backing of their leadership.
The majority leader said that he asked them to
calm down, still talking to the president.
The timing wasn't right and all of that.
So he was aware of this particular move. So if anybody in leadership will come and say that they were not aware,
or they might have been aware, but they didn't know when they were going to go out or go public.
Well, the members of parliament who undertook this activity said they were tired. They've held a series of meetings with the president. You remember somewhere in August or July, the entire leadership and the members of parliament on the majority side held a meeting with the president at the Jubilee House. And some of these issues were raised there. But then the president also asked them to calm down. So
where do you think that because the president appears to have so much confidence in Ken Ofori-Atta, despite everything happening? He was around the country. In one of the interviews, they asked him about the fate of Ken Ofori-Atta. And he was clear that he didn't think Ken Ofori-Atta has done anything wrong. He's been one of the best ministers of his administration and all of that. He finds him very competent. He finds him excellent, actually. Is it that there's some disconnect between the presidency or the president as a person and the people he's leading, or he sees or knows something we don't know about Ken Ofori-Atta?
I'm sure I'll go with the last one, that he sees something with Ken that we do not know. Because
but we should be seeing it by now.
Because severally he's defended Ken. And what he says normally is that when MPP government came to power from 2017, before COVID came, Ken was doing an excellent job. The economy was growing significantly. Everything was okay. But the onset of the COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine war is what has thrown this whole economy out of gear.
People have challenged that, really, that the 2017 economy really was not an independent economy. It was an IMF economy.
The president still reiterates that Ken was the man in charge. And then Ken more or less did well for us to see what is happening within that period of economic, growth. And so the same person who saw growth of the economy from 2017 to the onset of COVID will be the same person.
He's the one who knows how to resurrect the economy.
He's the same person who knows how to resurrect the economy.
Let me go for a quick break. Come back and then we'll continue the discussion. This is a point of view. We'll read your messages as well. Keep them coming in. Don't go away. Hello, you're welcome back to the point of view. We are looking at the happenings in Parliament, the majority MPs who want the president to revoke Ken Ofori-Atta's appointment. Indeed, the minority has also filed their motion for vote of censure. They are hoping to raise their numbers. They need about 1 83 votes out of 275 to make this count. For now, they are just about 136. That's minus Asinov. And they are hoping to rely or draw some numbers from the MPP MPs, which is actually quite plausible given the happenings. The president met them yesterday, the non-conformist MPs, and told them that they should give Ken Ofori-Atta, perhaps and himself, 3 weeks to seal the IMF deal. I'm in the studio with my colleague Samir Afi, who is our correspondent at the presidency. I'm also here with Dr. Atika, Abdul Jalid Atika, who is a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, and we'll be joined by Dr. Ayu Afriye, MP for Ifijasia Sokore, who is one of those MPs. So, Sami, the MPs in that short press conference they had yesterday said a number of things. They have had to defend conflict of interest and on the part of Ken Ofori-Atta and his Minister of State regarding the bond issues and the roles their private companies have played in that. No confidence in the economy. They have had to defend all of that. Are there other concerns? They met the president yesterday. Are there other concerns they have about Ken Ofori-Atta that they did not state in that press conference?
At this particular meeting where they held with the president, it was more or less an open discussion, a free-for-all discussion.
Was Ken Ofori-Atta there?
Ken wasn't present at the meeting. And my information is that even the non-conformist MPs, as you call them, were not even present at this particular meeting. With
they were not there?
They were not present. It was other members of parliament who were not at the press conference who were present. So it goes to show you that it is not only those members of parliament who are against Ken Ofori-Atta.
And the non-conformist MPs were not there?
None of them.
At least I know Eugene Boachi, Honorable, was not there because he said he had a knee issue. Ayu Afriye was not there.
Patrick Boma wasn't there. Adi Apiakubi, who read the statement himself, wasn't there. My information is that over 90 members of parliament were present. The 90 members of parliament made up of leadership and other members of parliament. But those who led this particular press conference were not present at the meeting. Despite their absence, the meeting went on, and the issues they raised with the president were quite many. One of them told me that they raised the issue of, more or less, in quote, respect when it comes to the workings of parliament on the side of Ken Ofori-Atta. They say that because Ken is not a member of parliament, he does not really understand the workings of parliament. And sometimes
what was that point? Must you be Secretary was not a member of parliament,
so they believe
but he worked quite well with parliament.
So they believe that because he lacks the understanding, in quotes, of the workings of parliament, he's unable to work with members of parliament, especially those on the majority side.
How?
The explanation they gave was that, for instance, when there was the passage of the e-levy, Kenny should have known how government was struggling without the members of parliament, especially those on the majority side. And so if we have a slim parliament, and what we have in parliament now is a hung parliament, and your side, which is the majority side, really wants you to help them in terms of development within their constituency, and you treat them with contempt, they believe that is not the best. They accuse Ken and the finance ministry that they are starving them of funds when it comes to development within their respective constituency. They say that the delay in the release of the common fund, which the members of parliament use for their infrastructure development in their various constituency, has delayed for a while. And so if there's a delay in this particular release of funds, it throws all their infrastructure agenda or plans out of gear. And this is what the members of parliament really use to set up or use to develop their respective constituency. They said that several times they have been to the ministry, sent delegation, used the leadership of parliament, used the leadership of the majority to get the release of funds to be faster.
But is it a case that there is money and Ken is not making the money available to them?
Well,
because the District Assembly Common Fund is statutory. It's quite important that it's just like the other ones. Is it that there is money and he's failing to do so? Even though I know a percentage of what comes to government by way of taxes or the Common Fund is what goes to the District Assembly. I mean, the Consolidated Fund is what goes to the District Assembly Common Fund. What really is the issue? Is it that the money is there or Ken is... What's the
so they believe that the money is there because they say they are in parliament. They know the funding that goes into all development. The bills and the loans and the rest, everything comes to parliament before they go to the various ministries, department, agency. So they are very much aware of funding when it comes to statutory payments. And so for the finance ministers to always trumpet that.
So what did the president say about this? So the president should know about these common fund matters. So
the president was sober. He appealed to them, as you said earlier, asking for 3 more weeks for Ken to finish the negotiations with the IMF in terms of the IMF bailout. But this evening, I'm getting information that after the meeting with the president yesterday, the majority caucus also held a meeting this evening. The meeting just ended a while ago, and they have also agreed that they will allow the president the 3 weeks that he mentioned at the meeting. And so after 3 weeks, they will also trigger the next line of action as far as this particular removal is concerned. So they are waiting for the 3 weeks. After the 3 weeks, they will hear the president, the president will hear from them.
Very well. Dr. Ateku, if you're still there, a number of things jump out at me. That the presidency was not aware that this was going to happen yesterday. He might be aware generally because the majority leader, we understand, spoke to him about it. I don't know when, but generally he must have been aware. But the timing of it, I'm not sure he was aware, because from what our man at the big house is saying, it came to them as a surprise. They watched it on TV. Does that say anything about the intelligence around the presidency? Such a major thing, he only got to hear it or see it on TV when it was happening.
Well, I do not think I'll be surprised if they were not aware, because once the majority leader, or I'll say the leadership of Parliament, were aware, particularly from the majority side, it's surprising the presidency was not aware. I think that, in my view, I think they were aware, but they underestimated it, particularly coming from our own MPs, right? So I'm sure maybe if they had heard that maybe it was coming from the minority side, maybe they would have taken things seriously. But because they thought that maybe coming from their own members of Parliament, or certainly maybe they will only complain, and then that will be the end. So I'm sure that they didn't attach any seriousness to it. But in my view, I think once the majority leader was aware, because listening to some of them, they said that they have had engagement with the leadership of Parliament from the majority side to discuss these issues with the executive, right, with the president and all that. So I'm sure that they were aware, but they didn't actually know this was going to happen, because they underestimated maybe the threats or the demands from the majority members of Parliament or the backbenchers.
I see.
Yes. So
Sami Yafi here says that the leaders or the face of this revolt, if you will, were not even in that meeting with the president. They were not there. Just around 90 MPs were there. What does that say? Is the president reaching the lame duck stage of his presidency, where such a major thing will happen? He will call, a meeting of the people, and they will not be there. What does this say about his authority, his popularity within his own party, etc.? What does it say about him?
All right. Well, already, if you look at you have 80, that's almost 60% of your members of Parliament taking this particular position itself. Is a vote on the president's how the president is managing affairs of this country. I say this because there were, previously complaints from various quarters, sometimes some of the civil society organizations and all that. But all this, requests by from various sections of the public that the president must do something, fell on deaf ears. So certainly, something coming from the majority side. The president is like a coach of a football team, right? So you sit down, you observe, you look at how things are going, and if you look at the economic indicators, everything, it's telling that there is something terribly wrong. And yet the president came out and said that the people were doing a very fantastic job and all that, right? So it means that they have engaged the leadership. So it's so the president has not addressed or they have not treated their demands with the seriousness that they deserve, right? So that is why it came this way. So I think that it's an indictment on how the president is managing the affairs of this country, looking at 80 members. And these are just 80 members who were ready to sign, right? It doesn't mean that maybe that is the end.
Very well. 60 ready to sign, actually, as we heard from them. The last one, maybe in 20 seconds, should the majority non-conformist MPs join the minority in their quest to see this motion or vote of censure through?
Hello?
Yes, I'm asking if you think some of the majority MPs should assist the minority MPs to see this vote of no censure through in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I think the minority, looking at the situation, because the minority wants the finance minister out for certain breaches, right? The majority side, you have about 80 of them also want him out. The only issue now is that the president is requesting his members of parliament to give him some 3 weeks, right? So for me, looking at the situation, I think the minority need to engage with their other people from the other side, since they all have the same objectives of getting the finance minister out. So they need to engage them, and then they continue with whatever they want to do to get the finance minister out. Because leaving for the president will not remove the finance minister. He's only asking for this thing because of what had happened yesterday.
Very well.
Right?
Very well.
As whether you get to the 3 weeks and then they are going to ask for another time and all that. So I think that the minority side and then those other members of parliament who want him out, I think they need to
work together.
Each other.
Very well. Thank you so much.
When it gets to a point where they are going to vote, I'm sure maybe it's going to be a secret ballot, and we'll actually get to know the full state of. Yes.
Very grateful for your time. Thanks so much, Dr. Jalid Ateku, for your time. Sami, are they still insisting, despite the president's plea? What are they saying?
They're still insisting that Ken must go. They are even threatening that if he doesn't go before the budget reading, they will not take part in it.
Very well. Thank you so much, Sami Afi. Thanks so much, Dr. Jalid. We couldn't get Dr. Ayu on the line. This is how we conclude our program for tonight. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Selom Adunu. I did this on behalf of Bernard Able. And thanks so much. Have a good evening.
The Point of View is brought to you by Cowbell Coffee. Cowbell Coffee. Taste it, love it. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Kel Charcoal. Happy smile.